Today, I would like to talk about creating an altar, the purpose of an altar, and how to make it work for you. So, one thing that I see a lot is that we put our spiritual paraphernalia on the altar to gather dust. That's not the point. It's not how much you have on it, it's about the intention that you have imbued into it. So one of the ways that I like to first think about it is, what is your altar for? What do you want to use it for? Is it an ancestor altar? Is it your altar for your own dreams and prayers? Is it a client altar? Is it specific for a ritual or ceremony? Is it for your family? Where is it in the home? These are some of the questions you might want to ask. Once you're clear on your why, where, and what, the next step is to, one, know that it is your intention that makes things sacred. It's your attention on your intention that makes it sacred. And so we want to use intention and have our attention here when we're in the preparation and creation of our altar. So what that means to me is I want to use a cloth that I don't normally use to do the wiping and the tending of the space. I want to use a cleaner like vinegar and rosemary with a little bit of salt in there and some orange essential oil. I'm just making this up. And then that becomes the altar spray. I only use it for the altar. Now, to continue to hold your intention, we wonder, as you're setting it up, do you want this altar to be anchoring and grounding? Or do you want this altar to be sort of opening to the cosmos and sort of anchoring into the heavens, we could say? And so if you want it anchoring into the earth, you actually want to go clockwise from the outside, even if it's a square or a rectangle, towards the center. That's going to anchor the energy and root the energy. If you're wanting to do the opposite and you want that energy to go up, we want to go you go counterclockwise to anchor it into the cosmos. So then after you're complete with wiping it down, then you might want an altar cloth. You choose a color that represents the intention of the altar. And the items that you're placing here also have some sort of significance or importance to you. And the more that you place them here, the more that you utilize them, the more that you work with them, the more power they'll have. Now, we have items that we can imbue with our intention, and we have items that have their own medicine that we're sort of calling upon. So the quartz here has its own medicine that I'm calling upon, and I can also imbue into it what it is that I'm asking it to represent on my altar. There are some elements that often ought to be included in an altar. I feel like we're missing a wing here. So I always have a candle on the altar, and one where I can actually light the flame. So I will also have electric candles that I use as well. I like to represent all of the elements. So earth, air, fire, water. So what represents air? Feathers. I have plenty of feathers here. What represents earth? I have on my altar a little corn. 'Tis the season here in the Northern Hemisphere. I like to have also the bell. The bell represents metal, and it also does some tending. It has a medicine of activation, and especially when the energy is stagnant. And then water. So I often have one of my temple sprays that I've made that I can use to represent water. You can also have a bowl or a glass of water here as well. So you want to place those elements on the altar because the elements are going to support you in rooting, anchoring your dreams, your intentions. They're going to help whatever it is that you're placing on the altar. So a lot of times, metaphorically speaking, I say it's been on the altar. So y'all who have followed me for a while know that I set my work down, for example, for 2 years, and I put it on the metaphorical altar because I didn't have a home. And while it's on the altar, you're trusting and you're allowing the altar to work with what you've set there. What you're placing on your altar, you want to have a relationship with, and or you want to build a relationship with. So I have a womb stone. This womb stone has been with me for 8 or 9 years and has worked with clients around the world and been in ceremony with me. And so this womb stone I have a relationship with. Okay. So if you don't have a relationship with things that you're placing on the altar, you're placing it there to deepen or build a relationship with. Okay. So let's take a deep breath here. So now you've chosen your spot. You know what the intention is for it. You've cleaned it. You've anchored it in either direction. You've placed the items that you desire for now to be on the altar. Now, one of the magic aspects of having an altar is allowing it to work for you. So the more that you tend to it, this as the metaphor, the more that it's going to tend to what it is that you're placing there. So let's say you have a difficulty with a friendship or a relationship or a situation. You can either imbue an item or write it out and place it on the altar. Now, you don't want to just ignore it, leave it on the altar, and that's that. You're actually tending to the altar through lighting a candle, through making offerings, through ringing the bell, through burning herbs, burning incense, through drumming, through rattling, through singing, through prayer. The point of the altar is to be an anchor point for you to be in devotion to your remembered self. No matter what's sort of going on in your life, this is the place that you come to remember. And so the more that you sit here when you're well, the more that you've imbued the energy of the altar, the more that when you come here, when you're unwell, you can be in the presence of your altar, and the altar begins to do the healing work with you. This is a place for the helping spirits, for the helping guides, for the well ones, for the weavers of the golden thread of holy light, for the holy, whole, and healed archangels, for God, for the goddess to work with you and through you and for you. There's so much more that I could go into, and I think that's a good start for today and gives you a really good framework and foundation to explore working with your altar. And I will say that when I was 19, I went to India on a dream, and I lived at many different ashrams and Buddhist temples and studied with the Dalai Lama and with Tibetan Buddhism. And my role in all the temples that I lived in was to tend to the altars. That was what I did, tend to the temple. So it's something that's been profoundly woven into the fabric of who I am and how I live on this planet Earth. If this lights you up, if this sparks something inside of you, you are invited to. If you'd like to explore working with me, I offer in-person and virtual sessions and ceremonies, apprenticeships and mentorships, medicine days and retreats. I work with individuals, couples, and groups, animals, homes, and land. You are welcome to also book in for a free consult to see if we're a match and how I might be able to support you. I also have 3 temple memberships that you can check out as well if you feel called to step in One is the Temple of Prayers. I'm writing an incredible book of prayers right now, so this gives you access to the living library of prayers as I write them. And the Ritual Temple, which is a monthly gathering where you also have some support through Telegram and other inspirational pathways. And then there's one more that you can check out too, the Temple of Devotion. The last thing that I want to share is it's still awkward for me to share that I'm available to work with you. So I'm going to just keep practicing. It's not something that I'm masterful at. So if you notice how I go from mastery in what I'm sharing related to creating an altar, working with your altar, how it works, what it is, how it's going to support you, that's my mastery. And then I get awkward when it's like, come work with me. So just so you know, we all have our work, we all have our edges, our places, and that one is a little vulnerable for me. So I'm just going to keep trying until it comes out easily with grace. Aloha.